All right, what's up? With hardcore right around the corner, I've got 7 tips that could potentially save your life in hardcore classic WoW. Number 1, there are a ton of add-ons that I have found to be mind-blowing. They just completely surprise me with how helpful they are, so I'm going to go through some of those right now. Now, a lot of the functionality that we have in Wrath of the Lich King is gone in Classic. Some of the things like seeing how long buffs and debuffs last for, we've got casting bars. These all can be added back into the game using add-ons, so I would recommend ClassicAuraDurations, so you can see how long a target is stunned, silenced for, etc. Super helpful if you're like stunning something and you have no idea when they're getting out of stun. You know, it makes the game just so much more difficult to line things up. You know, if you're a rogue, like what are you going to count to 5? 1, 2, 3. So this is really helpful to basically know exactly how long your target's going to be stunned, how long they're going to be silenced, etc. ClassicCastbars to see how long until a spell finishes casting. This is so important if you want to pull off interrupts. You know, you could count to 2 maybe in your head, but it's so much better to just see that cast bar filling up. And by the way, it's not always accurate. I've noticed that some spells get off because it's not super accurate. So I would actually, you know, not trust it too much, but just know that when it's nearing completion, like 3/4, a good time to interrupt. So classic cast bar is super helpful. There's another add-on called OmniCC, which shows you when your abilities will come off cooldown and pulse it, which I really like. So you know when your stuff's ready to go again. And most importantly, this is one of my absolute favorite add-ons for quality of life. It's called Leatrix. Leatrix Plus and Leatrix Maps. It allows you to zoom further out. It auto vendors your vendor trash, the gray items, auto repairs for you, and so much more. It can automate the quests, and it makes your map not full screen, but be like a little minimized tab. I can't believe I ever played without it. It is just so good. My highest recommendation for Leatrix. I also love Bagnon. This just consolidates all your bags into one big bag, so that's super helpful for just being organized and seeing all your items at once. And then of course, Questie, can't go wrong. It tells you exactly where to go for your quests, where to gather, where to kill stuff. Questie is a must if you're going to be questing. Now, one thing I really like that's really specific for hardcore is Deathlog. It's cool because it can offer an overlay on your map to see where people die most often. You know, you probably guessed it, caves, you know, areas where there's a difficult quest, right? You can look at this map here, you can see, oh, when people go and try to fight Princess, they usually die. Or when they enter this Kobold cave, this is where they die, right? And so it kind of gives you an idea to like, okay, let's heighten our senses here. Let's focus, you know, just like in the weak auras, focus. So basically just focus up whenever you're going into an area where the Deathlog is red. You can turn on and off this toggle if you don't want to look at the heat map always. So I think Deathlog is pretty helpful. Now, another big one I feel is super helpful that not enough people recommend is TradeSkillMaster. I feel it's necessary if you want to make gold. It's great for listing auctions at market price quickly and easily, and to know the value of items both for vendoring and for auction house value just by mousing over. That is super valuable. I use it every time I play the game. It's just the best add-on in my opinion. Also, you know, like I said, it shows you vendor price. Spellbook Abridged cleans up lower ranks of spells, and that's helpful if you want to just have a clean spellbook to look at what's available. And while we're on the topic of spell ranks, there's actually an add-on called Nova Spell Rank Checker, which will alert you and your party if you're accidentally using a lower rank than available. In Wrath of the Lich King, there was an add-on called Spell Rank, which is an add-on that automatically puts the highest rank of spell on your bar, but it's not available for Classic. It's just a Wrath add-on. If you automatically want to use the highest rank of a spell, just create a macro that says /cast and then the spell, and it will always use the highest rank. So I recommend doing that on spells you're always going to use max rank. There's another really awesome add-on I can't recommend enough called What's Training. This displays the level you'll get new spells and how much they cost, so you can see a big spell upgrade coming or a new ability right in your spell book without having to visit your trainer to see what's new. It even lists what's available now that you don't have and what's coming soon, and again, it shows the costs. Very, very handy. Highly recommend this add-on. Now, another one that I was surprised by was ClassicBestiary. It's also great to see what abilities mobs have. It's not always exactly right, but it can be helpful to see if a mob has execute, for example. That can totally save you from thinking you're safe. You and the mob are having a face-off. You're both low health, and then boom, surprise, he executes you for like 10 to 15% of your health, and you're just left in utter shock. You can't believe you went from like 10 or 15% health to dead instantly. It happened to me. That's why I know this example, the Harpies and Barons. This add-on can definitely save your life, just letting you know what abilities the monster has that you're going up against. So highly recommend. I thought, I don't need this till I died to execute. And I was like, I did not know that this Harpy had execute. I think it had the name like Slayer in it or something like that. I don't know, but super helpful. Can't recommend that one enough. Now there are more add-ons that are class specific that are musts for that class, but the ones I went through today just now are great for everyone. Okay, tip number 2, don't always learn every spell or ability. You need to save 90 gold for your mount at level 40 because it really helps speed up your leveling, especially if you're something like a priest, and it's not always easy to accumulate that 90 gold by then. So sort of discern what abilities you truly need and try to not get the rest for the sake of gold. All right, tip number 3, when it comes to hardcore, the standard leveling talent build that everyone recommends online might not be what you actually want to go, because the whole point of hardcore is don't die. It's an easy trade-off to choose more defensive talents that could potentially save your life rather than the highest DPS talents. Maybe you actually want to level with a one hand and a shield as a paladin or shaman because it's safer, even if it's slower, because in this game, the name of the game is don't die. So because, you know, all that matters is dying, it's probably safer to try something different, at least if you're going on this hardcore server, because if you die, everything goes away. So it doesn't matter if you leveled faster because we're on a hardcore server, okay? So kind of a different tip there for you. Tip number 4 is patience. This tip should probably be number 1. Patience is often the difference between life and death in hardcore. You know, you're trying to sneak by some monsters, it's better just to kill them off one by one. You know, don't want to wait for your healing potion to come off cooldown before a difficult fight. Might want to wait just to be safe, or whatever cooldown you have. You know, let's just wait for divine protection. Let's just wait for feigned death to be back before this fight. You know, these minor inconveniences like waiting for a cooldown or, oh man, I have to re-clear this entire area. You know, just, you know, a lot of times player will be like, oh, I'll be fine. You know, oh, I'll just run through. You know, these can lead to your death, and patience is really the key to survival in hardcore. Tip number 5, along with patience, is trust your gut. Oftentimes when we aggro 2 mobs at the same time, there is a thought process that occurs. You know, are we going to win this fight? And sometimes we decide, okay, I'm not going to win this fight, but I'll kill the one I'm fighting right now and then run away, right? This is risky, and it can lead you to dying. And this is a situation I would say look out for. You know, if you think that you might lose a fight, just run away. I think more players need to learn to run away from fights. I've seen tons of players who stay in a fight that they probably think they're losing, but they think they might get a crit. But quite frankly, what happens if you get an unlucky resist, a parry, or a dodge, or maybe all of those in sequence? That can absolutely happen, and then that leads you to dying instead. So I would say trust your gut, look at a fight, know when it's going to be close, and just run. Don't even be like, I think I'll win. Just run, dude. It's not worth losing your character. So trust your gut on that one. Tip number 6, and this tip might be controversial, so I apologize, but if you are not playing solo self-found, which means you only use items that you got yourself, which I think most people won't be, don't forget to make a bank alt. This is going to help tremendously with getting your mount by leveraging the auction house. Mail any white, green, or blue BOE items to your bank alt to list on the auction house to help generate gold quickly and easily. With no strict trade rules in place by Blizzard officially, I'm betting it's going to be a booming marketplace, especially for herbalists and alchemists, which leads to tip number 7, trade skills. You should level them. Well, it's a journey to max level. Trade skills, I think, are amazing in vanilla, and with death being permanent, I think a lot of players are gonna be like, psh, to heck with trade skills, right? But I think that makes them all the more valuable. By leveling a trade skill, you get more gold, you can potentially survive alchemists, get tons of healing potions, and you know, I think after a player dies maybe once or twice and they lose their progress on their professions or trade skills, they're gonna give up on it, I think. And I think not as many players are going to have them as on a normal server, which makes them all that much more valuable, especially if you get high level like maxing it out. So I think those are my 7 tips. I hope they're helpful for you on your journey through the hardcore servers. If they were, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more WoW content. My name's Toyhouze. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.